In the early 1980s, Van Halen famously included a clause in their concert writer, page 53, buried deep in the technical specs, section 126. It said, and I quote, "There will be no brown M&Ms in the backstage area, upon pain of forfeiture of the show, with full pay." Now, for 40 years, blokes in boardrooms have pointed at that story and laughed. They say, look at these divas. Look at David Lee Roth losing his mind over a bowl of lollies. But if you talk to the crew who set up those giant multi-ton production rigs, they'll tell you the real truth. That clause wasn't about ego at all. It was an ingenious system control indicator. Van Halen was touring with massive, unprecedented lighting setups and heavy stage equipment. If they walked backstage and saw a single brown M&M in that bowl, Roth knew instantly that the local promoter hadn't read the contract. And if they hadn't read the contract about the lollies, what else did they skip? Did they check the floor load capacity? Did they ground the heavy electrical gear? The brown M&M wasn't the hazard. It was a signal that the system control had failed. But here is where safety teams get it dead wrong every single day. About 90% of workplace incident reports treat surface breaches as if they are the actual incident. You see it constantly. An investigator walks onto site after a near miss, sees that an operator missed a signature on a pre-start checklist, and writes down, root cause, operator failed to sign off page 2. Case closed, slap on the wrist, job done. Mate, that is literally taking the brown M&Ms out of the bowl, throwing them in the bin, and leaving 50 tons of uninspected stage rigging hanging directly over your head. A missed signature, a bypassed procedure, a valve left turned the wrong way. Those aren't the causes. Those are symptoms. They are signals flashing red on your dashboard, telling you that the surrounding system is broke. When you stop your investigation at human error or procedural non-compliance, you haven't fixed a single thing. You've just swept away the warning sign and walked back into the danger zone with your eyes wide shut. You see, whenever something goes bang on site, there is this massive, immediate corporate panic. Executive leadership wants fast answers, and more importantly, they want a name. The investigation instantly turns from a search for why into a desperate hunt for who. Who touched the button? Who didn't read the manual? Who do we blame so we can tell the board we solved it? I remember an investigation I led years ago on an offshore platform in the North Sea. Management was absolutely furious. A pressure alarm on a critical separator line had been manually bypassed, leading to a massive gas release. Before I even landed on the helideck, the platform manager called me and said, "Cam, find out which technician bypassed that alarm so we can get him off my rig by tonight." So I got out there and I sat down with this technician. Nice bloke, sharp as a tack, 10 years experience. I didn't ask him why he broke the rules. I asked him to walk me through his morning. And you know what I found? The poor guy was juggling 3 conflicting emergency work orders simultaneously. The main control room radio comms were down due to ongoing maintenance. The local pressure gauge on the floor was broken and had been tagged out for 3 weeks waiting for spare parts from shore. And on top of all that, his supervisor had told him an hour earlier that if production dropped below 80% that shift, the whole platform was going to lose its quarterly safety and performance bonus. So there he was, standing in the dark, surrounded by broken gear, no radio, 3 conflicting jobs, and a giant financial gun pointed at his head. Bypassing that alarm didn't just make sense to him in that moment, it was the only way he could actually get his work done. He was trying to keep the plant running because the organisation had quietly set him up to fail. That is the ultimate organisational blind spot. We set up competing priorities every single day. We put big posters on the wall that say, "Safety first," but then we measure site managers exclusively on schedule targets and daily throughput. Frontline workers are forced into informal workarounds just to keep the business moving. Management knows about these workarounds, and as long as production targets are met, they quietly reward them with a pat on the back. But the second a gap in the Swiss cheese lines up and an incident happens, suddenly management acts shocked, pulls out the procedure book, and points the finger at the worker for not following rule number 47B. Now, whenever I say this in a workshop, someone always jumps up and says, "But Cam, are you saying workers should never be held accountable? Are you letting people off the hook when they do something completely reckless?" No, absolutely not. Accountability is vital. but we have to be smart about how we define it. In ICAM, we use what we call a fair and just culture framework, and we keep it completely separate from the investigation itself. An incident investigation has one single job: figure out how the system failed so we can stop it from happening again. It is not a disciplinary tribunal. If you turn your investigation into a trial, guess what happens? Workers stop talking to you, evidence goes missing, people cover their tracks, and your data gathering becomes completely useless. Once the ICAM investigation is finished and we understand the system flaws, then leadership can use a fair and just culture model to evaluate individual behavior. Was it an honest mistake, a slip, or a lapse? Or was it an intentional, malicious breach? Honest mistakes need system redesign. True reckless behavior is a performance management issue, but blending the two together ruins both. Look at the recommendations coming out of most investigations today. They are absolute garbage. Retrain the team. Issue a safety alert. Remind workers to maintain vigilance. What a cheap cop-out. Administrative fixes sit right at the bottom of the hierarchy of controls for a reason. Telling someone to be more careful in a poorly designed system does absolutely nothing. It fails every single part of the smarter test. It isn't specific, it isn't measurable, and it guarantees that in 6 months' time, another worker under the exact same pressure is going to make the exact same mistake. We have to stop trying to retrain the player and start redesigning the game. If a machine requires a human to be flawless every second of a 12-hour shift just to stay alive, the machine is broken, not the human. We need hard engineering barriers. We need clear procedures, adequate staffing, working tools, and realistic schedules. We need defenses that make it easy to do the right thing and bloody difficult to do the wrong thing. So I want to leave you with one simple question today. Go back to your office. Pull up the last 3 incident investigation reports sitting on your desk. Read through the findings and the corrective actions. Did your organization actually dig deep and fix the underlying broken system? Or did you just sweep away the brown M&Ms and hope nobody notices the roof falling in? All right, that is me for today. Go check your systems, stay safe out there, and I will catch you next time.